thank God for the confidence that God has in man. Is the omnipotent God who can do all things, omniscient God who can see all things, is the all-able God, is the all-sufficient God who can exist without needing anything outside of himself. But it has pleased him to work with men, It has pleased him that he created all things, then he created man and put him in charge. And a man became the custodian, the manager, or the steward of everything that God has created. And so as we come together, this is managing business for Christ. Because it has pleased God that everything that he created, everything that he wants, it has pleased him to will everything to Jesus. And so everything flows from Jesus. So God owns everything here on earth, including the people and everything therein. So because he has now given the job of managing it to man, and everything is owned now by heir, which is Jesus Christ, then all business must defer, as it were, to Jesus Christ, must align with Jesus Christ. So we are looking at business alignment this afternoon. We are going to take a little bit of definition and clear it. But primarily is for us to look again at the mission of managing business for Christ and the imperative that it has, the implications that it has for our businesses as we try to align with what Jesus Christ teaches. So let's take a little parable first as we go into this. Let's take a little parable first. I call it the parable of vehicle wheel alignment. Vehicle wheel alignment. We all know that you do alignment for your vehicle, the tires are aligned and so on. Okay, so I know that there are some that are more experienced in this thing than me. So if a vehicle's tire alignment is out of alignment, what are the implications? Let's get to the chat box and type. Let's okay. Thank you very much, sir. It is 28. I got that one wrong. Yeah. So it's with my typo is not the answer. Thank you very much, sir. Yes, please. Is today is October 28th. Thank you very much. I'll correct it, sir. All right. So so the parable of wheel alignment. So if alignment is very good, what are the advantages? If this is not, if a vehicle is out of alignment, what are the advantages? So if we look at that, what can we learn from? We can now deduce what we can learn from that. So can you please let's type something there and let's go ahead and change it. So yes, please. Can we begin to type and let's share some experience? If a vehicle is as good alignment, what happens? If it doesn't have, what happens? Can we, or you can just unmute yourself and then share some experience with us. It's very simple, but then it can be very impactful. All right. Waiting. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. Raphael said that the vehicle will be stable when it is being driven. The tires will last long. Thank you very much. Sister Ife, Sister Bumi said that the vehicle will be balanced, well balanced. Any other? Sister Emisi said a good alignment keeps the vehicle on course. Yes, keep the vehicle on course. And then Prof says that no alignment drives to the side. Okay, so the vehicle will be veering to the left, veering to the right, and so on, and so on. Any other? Maybe somebody can just unmute himself and share an experience with us. Do you have any experience with this when it comes to vehicle aligned or vehicle not aligned?
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Sister Ivy. Thanks you.
Okay. I don't know whether it's an experience, but it's what I usually do, to ensure that, my wheel, especially when I change my tires. All right. Because from experience, I found out that, when I change tires, they're supposed to do the wheel alignment, but I found out that they don't properly do it, or it's not done well. So what I do is after they've changed the tires, okay, and so I take the car out, all right, and as I'm driving, I will put the steering straight, and I'll remove my hands from the steering, okay. So exactly, so that tells me, so if he's moving on a straight line, then they got the wheel alignment and then also the wheel balancing right. But if he starts to veer to the right or maybe to the left, okay, then I'll know that it wasn't done properly. Then I'll take it back to the tire shop.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So I do it, yes, all the time when I change tires, and then at times when I feel that maybe I need to change my tires also.
Okay, thank you very much. All right. Yeah. Okay, so we have another chat. Yes, Sister Yemisi, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, Daddy. I just saw Reverend Abba post something and he took the words right out of my mouth. I really didn't know there was anything called alignment because I grew up amidst boys largely, and when I started driving, they always fix my car. So it's the only time I know that, oh, there's something not quite right here, is when I'm having to struggle to hold my wheel. And it was always stressful for me because it now takes my attention off. I typically will drive, especially when I'm on a straight road, and just hold on to the steering lightly. And each time I now realize I have to pull and focus on holding my steering wheel all the time. That stress is what makes me say, oh, this thing is out of alignment. and then call somebody to have a look at it for me. I didn't really know it was alignment until somebody. So it's that stress for me. And somebody has told me again that the stress is not on the wheel, that the tires, they don't wear
evenly, yeah.
When the vehicle. So I think there's a lot of waste that actually goes into not being aligned. Resources are wasted. There's the stress on the driver, there's the stress on the tires, there's the likelihood that you're likely going to lose your tire earlier than you should have.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for sharing. Yes, Rabba said that it makes driving less stressful when it is aligned, and it reduces driver fatigue and the possibility of accident. You can avoid accident. Okay. Thank you very much. All right. So. Okay, do we have contribution? Please, the coach should help us. Please, let's mute if we are not making contribution. Okay, so, I mean, in summary, if the tires are not aligned on even tire wear, which means that the tire will be destroyed in no small time. The suspension of the vehicle, the quality of the suspension will greatly reduce or drastically reduce. Steering becomes a problem. You consume more fuel. Ride will be bumpy. You'll be veering in different directions. There'll be vibrations. More effort is needed to steer the car to keep it on course. So there's a direction which you want the vehicle to go. Then to keep it in that direction becomes a little bit challenging. Overall performance of the vehicle will be affected. And but then when there is full alignment, okay, Brother Dippo said that you cannot arrive at intended destination except with effort. You have to make a whole load of effort before you can arrive at the intended destination. But all of this is taken care of if the vehicle is well aligned. well aligned. It's the opposite of all these things that where there'll be smooth acceleration, you can maintain your speed, you can do effective braking, you can control your cornering very well, movement is going to be smooth, the car will perform excellently well and the car will last. And then Sister Bumi said that alignment provides stability and focus and getting the car to go in the right direction. So you have where you are going and the car is cooperating in moving to that. So this is what we see when a business is aligned, when all the components are working together to achieve a common goal. This is what we see. But let's take the definition further a little bit as we take it to business. So we have the different components of the business. Even when we look at the English word a little bit, move it a bit into business. Alignment is the proper positioning or state of adjustment of parts. Adjusting parts, the state of adjustment of parts in synchronism in relation to to one another. Okay, the opposite is when it is not aligned and there's disorder. There's no synchronization. Their parts are working against each other. They are working at cross purposes. So alignment signifies unity of purpose, focus, and unity of purpose. Not much can be achieved where there is no alignment, where there is no unity of minds, where there is no cooperation, where there is no strength, no synergy. Where people are working at cross purposes, when the organization and the business is the different parts of the business are working at cross purposes, and then progress becomes difficult, success becomes very minimal and difficult. So activities, goals, and objectives of a business, when they are in sync and is focusing in achieving an overall common strategic direction, then you say everything is on alignment. The business is correctly aligned. All the aspects of the business, the people, apart from the vision, mission that is stated, the strategy that is stated, or the goals, the key performance indicators that are evaluated, the people, the processes, technology, partners, stakeholders, everybody is working together in the same to achieve the same kind of goal. Then the business is properly aligned. Yes, of course. I mean, the issue of alignment, just like we know, when it comes to anything that is business, that is goal-oriented in nature, that you plan for, that you achieve through different steps. It's an ongoing process. Yes, of course, an ongoing process that needs continuous evaluation, continuous improvement, and so on. And a very good example of when people are working in alignment that was first stated in the Bible is the huge and gigantic, very ambitious building project of Genesis chapter 11. The crude technology were quote and unquote, normal technology at that traditional technology at that time. A little bit, not much of automation and then putting of machines into it. And they had this project that they want to build a tower that will reach to the heavens. They will reach to the heavens because they were all aligned and focused on it. It became something that seems as if they were going to achieve it. They were really going to achieve it. And the Lord actually confirmed. Genesis chapter 11 verse 6 that, and the Lord said that they are one people with one language. You are united. They are aligned together on this goal. They agree together. This is only the beginning of what they will do. Now, nothing they plan to do will be too difficult for them to do. So that's a little bit of setting the background as far as alignment, as far as business alignment is concerned. A little bit of it delving into management and organizational theory when it comes to business alignment. Just trying to paint a little bit of background. The primary goal is to make sure that all aspects of the business, all resources of the business, all parts within the business, all these relationships across the structure, top to bottom, bottom to up, and reaching out to even external people, engaging with the market, engaging with customers, and so on. They are all driven in a way that they are aligned to achieve that common goal, working together to support and to advance the set mission, vision, and strategic goals of the business. Yes, of course, we know that a lot of communication is involved in all of this, back and forth, feedback, regular evaluation, adjustments that will be necessary so that the progress can be monitored. Okay, so we're talking about people that are actually focused on the different areas of goals and of strategic objectives, and making a success of it. We see a lot. I just mentioned the people in Genesis chapter 11, but in the world of today, globally, it is stated that, I mean, a company like Apple, who has moved into the $1 trillion age, they are so focused and aligned as far as their brand promise and the delivery of it is concerned. And then as far as innovation is concerned, everything is tailored towards delivering that customer, that brand experience to the customer, from product design to marketing to customer service. They are all aligned with clear and compelling vision, and they consistently want to deliver on that promise. We see Google. Google just rose, from somewhere. They just rose because they are very strong when it comes to aligning with innovation and technology. Very, very strong when it comes to aligning with innovation and technology. They encourage employees to spend time on creative projects. They're just creative projects. I read several years ago that I read the story. So one of the services of Google that I personally use very well is Google News. Just to be able to get news with Google News. And I was reading the story of how Google News was developed. During the 9/11 experience, September 11 experience in US, during that attack, information and news became something that is close to oxygen because trouble everywhere. People were looking for their loved ones. They don't know who is held somewhere, or the person that has died, and then to get news, latest news, became very difficult. And this person was looking at the life should not be this difficult, to get information, and that prompted him to sit down. With some, it's a better that when Google wants to do this innovative thing, they just get one person that they get another one person or two persons to join him. So they just spend time to look at it, and that's how Google News was developed. So they drive everything is aligned towards innovation and towards technology. And yes, of course, I mean, Tesla, these are huge companies. Tesla is focused on sustainability and electric vehicle technology. Amazon is focused on customer centricity and innovation. And we can go on and on and on and on and on in terms of companies that deploy everybody and deploy resources towards a particular, aligned to particular objective to achieve. We have our own, we can have our own local examples here. People like Flutterwave, who within record 5 years became unicorn, $1 billion company, because they are the top online payment gateway. And their view is that, look, get customer globally to be able to send money very easily, and they are focused on it. They are focused on the globe, and they've rose. They've risen just over a few years. Just to talk about just to paint the picture of what a properly oiled and aligned business can bring. And I'm sure that all of us that are on this platform, you will have different experiences that you can share when it comes to businesses that are properly aligned. All right. So and really we have some examples from scripture, and I think that we will get to that. Okay, so but then really the real meat of our discussion really is, as Christ business managers, when we look at the mission of managing business for Christ, how should that impact our business alignment initiatives when we look at the mission of managing business for Christ. Because all the examples that we have given and so on, I don't know how much involvement of Jesus and the principles of Jesus are concerned. The mission of managing business for Christ is bringing business people and business practices to Jesus Christ. The people, the practices of the business, bringing it to Jesus Christ. Making people in their personal lives, business people, business life, and in their businesses and the processes of their business to be aligned to the principles and values that are taught by Jesus Christ. Meaning that the principles and values that are taught by Jesus Christ should form part and parcel of our business alignment initiative. The fact that not only will I want to adopt the values that are taught by Jesus Christ in my personal life, but also to want to make it as part and parcel of the alignment of the business, encouraging all parts of the business to work together in alignment with the principles that are taught by Jesus Christ, adopting the principles that are taught by Jesus Christ. And when we look at scriptures, I just look at these two examples, which are like the for and against example. Okay, so we see Peter and his fishing business. If you read Luke chapter 5, Peter was ready to give everything to Jesus, yielding the business to him, yielding a ship for Jesus to use, this fishing ship for Jesus Christ to use to preach, and ready to just live for Jesus and commit everything into his hands. And by the presence of Jesus, and the alignment of the business to what Jesus Christ will adopt or will approve, Jesus Christ intervened in the business when the business had a problem. And one single revelation, one single word of encouragement, one simple instruction, change the business because there's alignment and there was divine intervention based on that alignment. When we say the case of Jonah, that one is Jonah was just a customer in a ship, just one customer in a ship that carry many people, and he was not ready to align with what God wants him to do, and that brought problem not only to him but also to everybody that was in the voyage and the ship itself, and so on. So instead of getting divine intervention, what they got was divine opposition. And if you read the story in Jonah chapter 1 very, very well, it got to a point that Jonah actually preferred to die than to so he said they should throw him into the raging sea and ocean. So talking about what alignment can do when we align with God, and what non-alignment can do when it does not align to God. Life becomes difficult, and then God can be in the opposing side, become an opposition, and things like that. Yeah, this is just to paint the background for the bit of what we are looking at that we now want to discuss. So the mission of managing business for Christ is that to bring business practices and business people and business practices to Christ, to make them to adopt the principles and the values that are taught by Jesus Christ. Now, the Bible is full of the principles and values that we need to embrace, that we need to adopt, not only for personal practice, but also as part of our business alignment initiatives, encouraging the whole of the business, people, processes, all stakeholders to adopt and to work together, to commit to full obedience, of what is taught. But one very simple strategy that Jesus used in clearly teaching and communicating these principles, simple strategy that Jesus used is storytelling. And that's why I said, let's look at the parable of the wheel alignment. First, because we can draw from that little story, we can draw knowledge. So Jesus Christ will use short stories to teach principles. Common everyday, we use common everyday elements. We use trees, we use seeds, we use fish, we use bread, use wheat, use money, use laborers, and things like that. What everyone can easily relate with, what they are used to. We use it to illustrate kingdom truth, to illustrate principles and values, and what is expected, and what is acceptable to God, to teach it. And he taught many parables in the scriptures. If you look at I mean, the Bible is very clear that if they are to write all the volumes of the thing that Jesus Christ taught, the whole world cannot contain it. But the ones that are written, they are written to build us and to build our faith. So when we focus on parables, he wrote many parables. Some say it's 39, some say it's 40 something, some say it's above 50. Many parables. Parable of talents, parable of the sower, parable of the prodigal son, the leaven, the yeast, or different kinds of parables. Yes, we have some that are very popular. We have some that are not so popular. Some are very challenging. Some we need digging deep before you can understand them. So what I want us to do as an exercise this evening is to take one of those parables of Jesus Christ, because they offer ethical and moral guidance, that can inform our decision making, that can affect behavior, in terms of the way we look at our business, what we consider when it comes to what we adopt, as part of our business alignment initiative. All we are trying to do is to ensure that, yes, our businesses are aligned with what Jesus will approve. That's just the main aim. And it's not just it's to consider the business 360 degree, as it were, just like we define when we look at business alignment from the angle of management theory. So today, this evening, based on this background, what I want us to do is to look at one parable, and that is the parable of the shrewd manager. Some say it's the smart manager. Some say it's the unjust steward. Some say it's the dishonest manager, the manager with unethical and crooked practice, so to speak. And it's for us to look at that story and try to milk and design and deduce from it some lessons that is germane for us, that will help us when it comes to, again, reviewing our business alignment initiatives, and then adopting. There are things that we need to now adopt for us to adopt it. So the parable of the shrewd manager, which is found in Luke chapter 16 of the Bible, was told by Jesus Christ, coming from when he told the parable of the prodigal son, and he went to chapter 16 of Luke to tell this shrewd manager. The audience at that time were business leaders. They call tax collectors. In the culture, in the setting of Israel at that time, tax collectors are very notorious. Quote and unquote. I don't know whether it has changed. as it were, they are very history has it that what they do, they give them an area, and then based on that, the Roman government will evaluate that area. This is the amount of tax that we are expecting. So the tax collector is going to pay that amount to the Roman government, and then he will now go after the people to collect back the money that he has paid. And yes, of course, you can imagine what they will do. They were very notorious that time. That's why when John the Baptist was engaging them, was telling them that, stop extorting money. So these were people that were there at that time. Religious leaders were there, who are supposed to know and to be the custodians of the values of the kingdom. They were there. Yes, of course, his disciples, they were there, who are supposed to learn from him, who are supposed to continue work after he will have gone. And the focus of the parable is actually stewardship. We learned in the last MBSC session that as managers of business for Christ, we are stewards. And that, I think, is what everybody really is. Apology. Thank you. She said, as it was in the beginning with tax collectors. Okay, so we can finish it. As it was in the beginning, I think we can finish it. So the focus of the parable is on stewardship, is on business management, is on long-term planning, is on eternal implications of business practice. It's on the difference between earthly wealth and eternal wealth. It's on how the stewardship of earthly wealth can affect what a person will be trusted with when it comes to eternal things. One will have thought that it should be the other way around. But this parable is showing us that that the way the earthly wealth is managed can affect what it will reveal some things to the owner of eternal wealth, and I will see whether I will prove whether this person is qualified to receive eternal wealth. I've always thought that God is a very, very astute business person. I mean, look at it. We are spending a little number of years here on earth, but then how we will stand eternally is what we are doing now is like investing in eternity, and so you do an investment of maximum of 100 years, some of which are not as productive as it should be when it comes to eternal things, and then you go and spend the result of that the return on that investment. You'll be turning thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of years, you'll still be receiving it. So it's the way it is that the management of the stewardship and how well, how faithfully a person even manages earthly wealth may determine what he will get as far as eternal wealth is concerned. Okay, so let's look a little bit at this parable in Luke chapter 16, and the focus is on verses 1 to 13. Okay, so this shrewd manager, his boss, his rich boss that owns the company, got a report that he has been mismanaging the resources and mismanaging the business. So a decision came out that his job is going to be terminated. They're going to terminate his job, and they've called for full audit reports. So this was announced. Your job, you are no longer, you are fired. But then before we terminate, bring a report. Let's see what happens. Okay. So when this news got to the manager, according to that parable, he considered himself and looked at when he considered the future. So how will he manage his out of job life? All the perks of office, the things that he has been used to, and so he was looking at how will he manage his life, afterwards. So he took a decision that he needs to secure his future by being in the good books of all the debtors. So he called them, all the company debtors, and he effected some debt reduction based on various levels of discount. Some he gave 50%, maybe some a little bit in between or a little bit more. He wanted to be in their good books. His strategy was to get his master to be paid for what is owed to the company, and then get the debtors to be indebted to him. He was cutting their future favor. So, and the debtors quickly agreed. It was stated that most of the people, nearly all the people that are involved in this parable, they seem to be a little bit crooked. Even the debtors quickly agreed immediately. Free deal. Okay, so but the question really is what can we learn? So after he had done that, and the boss actually commended him that was a smart move that he had made, a smart move. Okay, so let's read the conclusion of the story. I will just try to briefly read this passage. It's a story, so briefly read this to us, and then we are going to be now discussing and looking at the lessons that we can learn. Please listen carefully. I will read them from NIV. He said that from verse 8, that's the conclusion. That's where the conclusions are. The master commended the dishonest manager. because he had acted shrewdly or smartly. For the people of this world are more shrewd in dealing with their own kind than are the people of light. That's an indictment, and that calls for a lot of thinking as far as us who are related to Christ are concerned. But now, I tell you, use worldly wealth to give friends for yourselves, so that when it is gone, so which means that worldly wealth is going to go at a time. It's not only when stewardship ends in terms of a person leaving a job, because stewardship is for a time. Stewardship is not forever. It's for a time. Whether by what happened to this guy that they are now terminating a job, or by the fact that the tenure will run out, or life itself will run out. Stewardship is going to end. So it's going to end. So he said that I tell you, verse 9. Use worldly wealth to give friends for yourself, so that when it is gone, so which means that it will go. Even at the end of life, a person will be stripped of all earthly wealth, so that when it is gone, you will be welcomed into eternal dwellings. So eternal dwelling, eternal positioning awaits everybody, each and every soul. There will be eternal standing. Some will stand in a particular place, others will stand in the opposite place. Verse 10, whoever can be trusted with very little. Now, this is very key now. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. So, verse 11, if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? So there's that scripture says true riches. And the way that a person manages earthly wealth is the faithfulness of his stewardship over earthly wealth is what is going to determine whether true riches will now be given to him. Verse 12. And if you have not been trustworthy with someone else's property, who will give you property of your own? Verse 13. No servant can serve two masters. Now, he was talking about stewards and manager before. But then in this verse 13, the tone of the discussion changed to servant. So there is this steward versus servant operation, so to identity, so to speak. So no servant can serve two masters. Either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. You cannot serve both God and money. So that is this parable of the shrewd manager. Now, the important thing here is what lessons for us that we need to draw. I will read through a list, but I just did that list to again use it to stimulate our thoughts, because I really want us to I want us to discuss and engage together on this parable that Jesus Christ taught, showing principles, values of the kingdom, that we need to look at what to adopt, what to avoid, the things that we need to look out for to avoid, and the things that we need to adopt. So I do this list, okay? Being responsible and resourceful manager at all levels is required. Just responsibility at all levels. Being very responsible and resourceful is required. When this issue touched the manager directly, he went into his thinking mode in order to sort himself out. Okay? So you should have done that. I mean, being resourceful. That means that he's not lacking in being resourceful, I think like that. Number 2, maintain trust and transparency via accountability and consequences. Because stewardship is going to end and will be called to question. And this type of evaluation should actually take place often and often. We have said that being in business alignment is a continuous exercise. Number 3, recognize impending crisis. And when impending crises are recognized, plan and act decisively with long-term view. So this guy was considering his future. And so long-term things, they don't cry out, but they are the most important. They are the most important. And then number 4, honesty, integrity, and faithfulness are the hallmarks of stewardship. So a steward is expected to be faithful. 1 Corinthians chapter 4.
Apologies, Brother Paul.
Yes,
apologies. Please, Brother Michael, I think you're using 2 devices. If you can mute both, please. Please. Thank you, Brother Paul. Apologies to you.
Thank you. Yeah, no. Yeah, thank you. So honesty, integrity, and faithfulness are the hallmarks of stewardship. A steward, like I said, if you look at the tone of the commentary changed when we get to verse 13. And it was mentioned, I said, you cannot serve 2 masters. It is a servant. It was talking about servant. So a steward needs to be a servant. To be a servant. Servant that knows his master, a servant that is honest, a servant that acts with integrity, a servant that is faithful, a servant that knows that because in this one thing that came to my mind in this parable is the fact that as unethical as this person may be, this manager may be, and he was called onto accountability, much more those of us that are much more, Christ is going to call us, onto accountability. So we need to be faithful stewards, and we need to be true servants. We need to so ethical principles, very important. Avoid unethical and dishonest behavior. Number 5 is to build a relationship across business. So this man was now trying to build relationship with those debtors to secure the future. Building relationship is so key and so crucial. Bottom up, top down, top bottom, relationship with peers, relationship with those that are seniors, relationship with those that are juniors, relationship within, relationship without, relationship across the enterprise itself, relationship with customers, with suppliers, with service providers, relationship with the market, and so relationship with regulators. Sometimes they're very difficult to relate with them, but we need wisdom. Trust a lot of effort. Yeah. And then relationship, words, relationship, words, fellowship, words, fellowship with the Spirit, fellowship with the Son, fellowship with the Father, fellowship with the owner of the business on a constant basis, to try and get input from him, to try and get re-energization, to get new enablement. And then it's important to now prioritize eternal wealth over earthly wealth. Each steward must know his master and must be ready to obey. Because in some cases in business, our allegiance is called to question. Sometimes Mammon will call for our allegiance and to see whether a person will deny his master. Anybody that does things like that will have traded off the eternal wealth for heavenly wealth. And one of these comments that was made by Jesus Christ as was concluding this, that use earthly wealth to build relationship, to build relationship, so that the people can receive you into eternal dwellings. And I ask the question: who can receive a person into eternal dwelling? And when we look at eternal dwelling and we are looking at dwelling with God, there are 2 types of people. Yes, angels and so on. I don't reckon with that. But two majorly, one is Christ. Is the one that is going to receive. I mean, when Stephen was being stoned, he said, "I saw Jesus Christ standing at the right hand of the Father." He was there to receive Stephen. So things must be dovetailed towards the love for Jesus, the service unto Jesus, unto Jesus. The other type of person that will receive to eternal dwellings are the people that we are accompanied with, the people of God that we are accompanied with, that will be together, in the same place. So these are thoughts that came from here. So let's I don't know, your comments, what lessons we can learn, what other points you want to raise from here that we need to see, that we need to adopt, and some that we need to avoid. Thank you. Okay, so over to you, Bro Femi.
Thank you so much, Brother Paul. Very, very interesting. Thank you so much. I'm very, very thought-provoking. So the floor is open, you know, and I love this type of parables because you can look at it from various angles. So let's learn from each other, please. If you have any questions, even from what the list Bro Paul has brought up, let's ask. If you have any comments, any reflections, any experience, anything that all of us can benefit with. No question is wrong, you know, and no perspective is wrong. You know, let's look at it, let's challenge each other, let's discuss, you know. This is a very, very interesting parable. What lessons, what are the things that we can take away from this? Why did Jesus use this type of parable? Right? And what are the things that, you know, we can learn from it? From everything Jesus taught is to teach us something, you know. So let's contribute. Please feel free. You can raise your hand digitally. You can put up the camera and just put up your hand, but let's do it orderly. I'm looking at the chats, you know, and the list of participants. So if you raise up your hand digitally, I will be able to see you. The floor is open to us. Please, let's contribute. Thank you. Any contributions, comments from any co-authors? Okay. I cannot. Oh, Daddy, please feel free to come in, sir. Daddy Kolade.
Good afternoon, everybody. Since
good afternoon, sir.
People appear to be shy to contribute.
Good evening, sir.
I want you to overcome your shyness by following my example. There are two comments I want to make. Thank you to Brother Paul for what he has shared with us and for the principles that he has highlighted. The first principle that I want to remind everybody of is that alignment must be to a standard. In other words, when we want to align your business, you must have a standard to which you are aligning. So for us in MBFC, our standard is Jesus Christ. So everything that he says, everything that he directs, that is our standard. Now, when you choose a standard to align to, you don't come in and out of the standard. You do not go with the standard today, and then because of people or because of circumstances, change the standard tomorrow. No. When you are aligning your business with Jesus Christ as standard, we must be consistent. The Bible says we must be faithful to the standard given to us by Jesus Christ. Now, one of the difficulties of doing business in today's environment, particularly when you mix it with politics, is that you're sometimes tempted or even under pressure to change your standard in order to go with what works. Let us remember that business alignment requires you to go according to the standard that you chose. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is just to avoid some confusion. And I'm grateful to Paul for leading us to the later part of that chapter where it says, no servant can serve two masters. there is a difference between servant and steward. And I think we need to emphasize that, because the servant is somebody who goes according to the instructions, directions of the boss. Whereas the steward is the person that the boss calls and says, listen, I'm giving you this business to manage. What I want you to do is to manage it to produce the following results. I'm not going to worry you every day to ask how you're doing it or how you're not doing it. The decision making on a daily basis is your job. So make sure that you make your decisions in accordance with the standards that we've agreed. Once you do that, I do not trouble you on a daily basis. And therefore, the steward has the decision-making authority for ongoing business. That is why this steward could actually begin to indicate discounts. You would have thought, if the business doesn't belong to him, how can he just give 50% discount? No, the master has said, I'm giving you this business to manage, make sure you produce the right results, and therefore make your decisions. And if you look at our own situation of managing business for Christ, what Christ has done for us is to indicate what standards we should adopt in our businesses, what we should do with our businesses. And then he says, these are the kinds of results the Lord expects when you do business right. And then the Lord gives you guidance, how you do business, how you collect the revenue, how you make the profit, and how you dispose the profit. But the master does not come to you on a daily basis to say, you must do it this way or you must do it that way. The decision-making of business is the responsibility of the steward. Now, when you have responsibility for decision-making, you must remember that it is a responsibility. Don't just take decisions in a trivial or offhand manner. That man who said, I'll give you 20% discount, I'll give you 50% discount, must have thought to himself, with 50% discount, I can still produce the results that my master expects. So I just want to emphasize that. Remember, if you are not a steward, if you're still a master servant thing, then you don't have that responsibility. But if you are a steward, you can now take decisions, but decisions mean that you must be ready to take responsibility. So just those two things. First, that you must choose your standard and be consistent, faithful to the standard. And second, remember, as a steward, you carry a big responsibility because the expectation is that you will produce the results that the master wants. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Daddy. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And I really love the distinction you brought, between that being a steward and being a servant, very, very, very clear. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Any other contribution? Any other contribution? Any other contribution? Whilst others are thinking whether they should contribute or not, Daddy said you should not be shy. So please, just if I can just extend that point a little bit, when Daddy was talking about, difference between a steward and a servant, really, really, when he was talking, what just came to my mind that, wow. So as a steward, we have authority, but to whom much is given, much is expected. The same thing, demands a lot of responsibility from us. But something that as stewards, and we know we are stewards of the businesses that we handle, can make decisions, day-to-day decisions and everything. But something that is very, very, very important that we must build accountability. Obviously, as stewards, you know, but try and integrate accountability into your model, you know, so that when the master comes, like as we saw in this parable, you know, we have things ready. I'll build that into our processes, you know, that in ongoing accountability. Brother Charles, if you can, Brother Charles, please, if you can mute. Brother Charles. Great. You know, so something I just want to drop. Brother, please.
Okay, good afternoon. And thank you, Brother Paul, for the presentation. And I also want to thank Daddy for the perspective that Daddy has shared. Now, I want to speak to two things. One, business alignment. The first reference that was made, the building of the Tower of Babel. Just to, in my view, just to bring something out of their own side or approach to alignment. Everything was okay except for the fact that that project, that venture was not aligned, did not align with the purpose and the counsel and the will of God. That could explain why God had to come and disrupt it and brought it to zero. So I then have very strong feeling that apart from alignment on the human side of things, as far as business is concerned, there is also the necessity to align with the divine side of things, the ultimate, purpose of God. There is a scripture that says God gives us power to make wealth. God gives us power to make wealth. And he said the purpose is to establish his covenant. Okay. So that being said, because if with all the alignment of the components of the business, we are unable to align with the purpose of God, what we ultimately glorify God. That was just the one. Now, the other thing I want to speak to is taking all the principles, all the values, and all the standards that Jesus Christ taught, bringing the business into alignment, and at the end of the day, can we also think about alignment with what we do with the outcome of the business? For example, it is expected that every business, every Christian, for example, every child of God has to pay tithe, pay tithe of your earning. What about the corporate tithe? What is the place of alignment, this business alignment, bearing in mind that the business is a corporate citizen? And I have always looked at it this way. The government, I don't know what obtains in other countries, but as far as Nigeria is concerned, when you register your company or your enterprise, it becomes a corporate citizen, or so to speak. And so you have some responsibility. apart from being an agent of the government to help them collect VAT, of course, and other things. At the end of the day, when you have posted your revenue, your profit, not less than 30-35% of it, they will take. That is the government. So what about God? So what are we offering God out of whatever is left? It's just a thought that I think we need to consider. If government, as government, we come after taking all the diligence of AMCOP, you paying everything you need to pay, they will take 35%. Aligning our business alignment. Where does this, fit in? Thank you.
Thank you so much, Brother Abba. Thank you so much for that useful contribution. Thank you so much, sir. Any other thoughts? Any other questions, even for Brother Paul? Thank you. Okay, Brother Paul, because
yes, sir.
People are thinking of their contributions. Let me ask you a question. So just get your perspective. I'm not putting you on the spot, sir. Why do we think Jesus used this parable that has a bit of unethical practice, by the side?
Okay. I think if you look at so there was attention that was drawn to the people that are present, and the tax collectors, they are regarded as sinners. They are regarded as outcasts. Once a Jew become a tax collector, he's regarded as somebody that has denied the faith, and so on. But they are very shrewd business people, and sometimes religious people or believers can make a mistake and think that there was a time that you would think that there was a time that is even thought that business is bad. You should not go into business as a believer. It's still held to some large extent now that a believer cannot go into politics, and things like that. So based on that background, and this is coming after the story of the prodigal son. So what I think is that Jesus Christ is bringing to us the essence of sound business practices, at the same time convicting, as it were, the audience at that time, who are the tax collectors, because it's very clear from this story that some people said that even the rich man, who is the owner of the business, joins the people that are a little bit crooked, the one that are giving discount to the man that did what he did. But then there's a way that Jesus Christ now link this issue of business and business practices and he link it to eternal life, as it were. So which way? I think that part of the issue is that no matter how far gone that also a business person can go, there is still hope that if he turns to Christ, then Christ we accept him. Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Brother Paul. Thanks. I think Brother Peter is ready now. Brother Peter, you're welcome. Great to have you.
Oh, all right. Thanks.
Your comments, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks, Pastor Paul. I think I have a comment, but before I make the comment, I just want to just add to the the contribution that has just been made. So the question is very thought-provoking. Why use such an example? So I thought about it and I felt that, as a matter of fact, that is the point. That's the whole point of citing the example. It's necessary that he used an unjust person. That's the whole point of the example. It has to be, the man has to be unjust in order for the point to be properly made. The unjust steward. So, and it's contrasting between what the worldly people do and how they tend to be smart in their ways. But we, the children of the kingdom, we are not smart or clever. We don't make the right investment. We don't use what we have now to prepare room for us to make provisions for our eternity, you know. So that's the whole point. It has to be from the worldly perspective, you know, contrast it to the children of the kingdom. So that's on that. Then the comment on there is something that Pastor Paul mentioned while he was sharing, while he quoted that verse where Jesus later drew the inference that if he said, let me try to remember exactly the way he put it. Okay, I think the point is that Jesus drew the inference that these people, that we ought to use the temporal things, temporal resources, the resources that we have here, the mammon, so to speak, the unrighteous mammon, we use temporal things, you know, to secure eternity, to make everlasting habitation, to prepare, you know, for the resources, to get resources that are eternal in nature, which is a very deep spiritual principle. So it then occurred to me as he was sharing that the exact opposite is what the devil would have every one of us do, and that's what it does. It makes people sacrifice the eternal for the temporal. The eternal, which is you know, God's riches that he has sacrificed himself for, to make available to us. And then people sacrifice their salvation, or when they are tempted, you know, to deny Christ, to deny the truth. The truth is eternal. There's nothing you can do against it. So people sacrifice the truth for what works now. If I sell them a lie, it's going to work. It works. That's why if it doesn't work, people won't try it. There are so many things like that. So they sacrifice. Meanwhile, what has reward in eternal perspective is the eternal. You know, is that true riches. You know, that's what people, each time we do unrighteous things, each time we try to accumulate things here, you know, get by here, and in the process we sacrifice the eternal. That's exactly the opposite of God's agenda for us. And I think so that parable is very, very profound and very deep. So I just wanted to draw attention to that. Thank you, sir.
Very much, Brother Peter. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. So I've seen some hands up. Sister MEC, I know your hands. Your hand was up, but you put it down now. I don't know whether that was a mistake or you changed your mind. I would like to hear from you. But before then, I'll go to okay, yes, was it a mistake?
No, sir. I got an answer from Brother Peter's submission.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Just to be sure that, you know, we are capturing all views. So I'll come to Brother Peter first, you know, then I'll come to Daddy. Is that okay? Please, does anyone have any other comment to make? Bro, Peter, your hand is back up. Is that okay? Does anyone have any other comment or question, you know, so that I want to make sure that at least we'll round up this session by 4:30, by 3:30. Or 4:30, sorry. Okay. Sorry. I'm working with different time zones.
You are right. You are right. The two are correct.
With 3 time zones at the moment. So, okay, Brother Peter, then I'll come to Daddy, and then Brother Paul, I'll come to you for your final words. Brother Peter.
Okay, thank you very much. It has to do with what Daddy mentioned earlier about not just the standard of Christ, but being consistent, especially in these days with the rising cost of things, the cost of doing business, how that revenue is dwindling and the margin is becoming slimmer and slimmer and all of that. Now, I just want to share the experience. I've been having these encounters, but I had an experience, I think yesterday or so. I bought a piece of item, can powdered item in can. By the time I open it, even though the price had been, slightly adjusted upward, but the content was almost 50%. We're talking about, standard. You deceive the buyer to believe that, the quantity in terms of standard is still the same. But then when it is opened, it's completely a different thing. So, I just want to reflect on this. For you may not be offering the same kind of products or service, but in our service delivery, we should avoid the temptation of lowering the standard of our service. If you are not able to deliver, given the rising cost, it's better we say so rather than trying to cut costs and then you reduce the standard. This all won't reduce the standard of whatever is given to us. So that's the comment that I thought I should make. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Professor Baraba. I'll go to Daddy now, sir. Daddy, over to you, sir.
I want us to open our minds to reconsider this parable. In different versions of the Bible, the steward is described as an unjust steward, a dishonest steward, and so on and so forth. Do we really believe that Jesus Christ would have used dishonesty to make a point? Would have commended a dishonest person as the kind of person that we should emulate? Because if you say that this parable is emphasizing dishonesty or injustice, then you are saying that Christ was using dishonesty or injustice as a way to go if you want to prepare your future. Now, let me make another suggestion. And I just want you to consider this suggestion. Jesus Christ's purpose here was to say, if you find yourself in difficulty and your future is in jeopardy, you should do something to plan for that future so that it is not as difficult as it would have been if you did not plan. Therefore, do everything within your authority, to get people ready to do for you what you expect them to do for you in future. To emphasize dishonesty or injustice, I think, is to get it wrong. The point is that this steward was facing a future. He was losing his job. He was facing a future where he would not be able to survive. To make sure that he would be able to survive, he now made a plan. That plan involved giving discounts to people. Now, if he did not have the responsibility, please listen to me again, if he did not have the authority to give those discounts, then for him to give the discounts would have been dishonest. If it was not his responsibility, authority to say, look, you can forget 50%, then we would say he was doing the wrong thing. And I don't think Jesus Christ wants us to say, plan well for your future, even if you are going to do something wrong. Now, I believe, therefore, that we have to look at this parable afresh and say, this man was a steward, not a servant. Now, let me give an example. When a person runs a company, that company has owners, shareholders, and those shareholders, according to the law, they are the owners of the company, but they are not the managers of the company. They are the owners, but not the managers. So this manager, looking at the market, looking at what the trend is, can decide, in order to achieve the level of profit that we want to achieve this year, we need to change some of the things we said in our budget in order to get a better result. And so, for instance, you will see you put goods on the market. And if the market is not buying your goods the way you want the market to buy your goods, you have the authority as a manager to say, okay, I will reduce the price of this item. Instead of saying it is 10 naira per unit, I will make it 5 naira, because that will let it move in the market and people will buy it up at 5 naira. Now, are you staying within your authority or are you being dishonest? No, you're within your authority, because at the end of the year, what the shareholders want to know is, are you making a profit or not? And even if you're making a loss, what is your explanation? So please, I don't think that Jesus Christ would have said, come and look at this dishonest person and follow this dishonest person in planning for your future. No. What he said was, this is a parable that says this man was managing the business. The owner was not managing the business. It was this man managing the business. And within the authority of the manager, he could give discount. And if he gave discount, as long as he can say to the owner of the business, I am still producing the result you want, then he has not done something wrong. So let's not get confused. I don't think Jesus Christ wanted us to say, if you are facing a future, it doesn't matter what you do. You can be dishonest when you plan to make your future better. No, you must stay within your authority and do the things that you are authorized to do, and be ready, be accountable, as Femi says, be accountable for the decisions you take. I thought I should explain that, because it's unfortunate that we have a parable that the Bible says unjust or dishonest servant. No, I don't think Christ ever said that we should be dishonest in order to secure our future. Thank you very much.